The open door opens into That's a weird sentence. The open door opens into a large chamber that may have once served as a gathering room of some sort. There are two large fireplaces full of rocks and dirt. The fireplaces are covered in stone mosaic and statues. However, every single statue appears to have been vandalized or otherwise systematically destroyed. The best preserved one is that of a naked man who is missing a head. Stone benches are in front of the fireplaces. The wall near you is partially collapsed and blocks of stone are strewn about. A large set of oak double door with brass handles are slightly ajar directly across from you. Priya thrusts a torch out of the door with one hand, as her other hand splayed out as though ready to cast a spell. Goblin, says Gukog. Yes, we know that now, whispers Kriya. Quiet. Not orcs, says Gukog. He's right, you say. You were dead wrong about those tracks. I wasn't dead wrong, as says Kriya. Goblins are just the smaller cousins of orcs. Not true, they... Shh, Kriya hisses, cutting you off. Everyone is silent in order to listen. Faintly, you hear coarse voices, but you cannot make out words. More of them, Kriya whispers. Where there are two, there will be plenty more, probably many more. She grabs Gukog's arm, drag the goblin bodies further into the room so we can shut the door. Gukog does as he is told, as you keep watch. You hear a thump and more inaudible voices from beyond the double door. The left ear of a goblin is worth 10 gold bounties to the Duke Magistrate. Wait, so rats are 1, but goblins are 10? Well, then again, goblins are really... they're really hoarding creatures. And they can use weapons technically, so they're really annoying to deal with. I remember that one time we had to go into that big chamber with loads of goblins. That was a pain in the fucking ass. Let's see. This was Kriya. Gukog cut the ear off the goblin and put it in your bag with the rat heads. Gukog sighs and limps back to the bodies. Will be overwhelmed, you whisper. Do not underestimate the advantage of surprise, says Kriya. These ones are unarmed. They did not expect trouble, and so we easily slew them. We slew them easily. You're startled by a noise from behind, scratching at the other door inside the latrine, the door with the trap. The scratches are soon joined by screeches. Rats, says Gukog. You're about to shut the door to the hall to create a second barrier for the rats when you hear a man's voice. Help, help me. Gods, it's coming from there, says Kriya, pointing at the door with the scratching sound. Can't be. Someone out there with the rats, you exclaim. The cry for help comes again. It is coming from that door. This is unexpected. You wouldn't expect anyone down here. At least not anyone alive. You could open the door a crack and have a look outside. You might as well hold the rats at bay with the door. Another option would be to call back to the man to learn more, although you cannot imagine what sort of conversation you will have with someone in such a situation. While you can ignore him and shut the door to the hall to provide another barrier between you and the rats. There are several broken slabs nearby that could help nearby that you could slide in front of the door with the help of others. Fuck, this is difficult. Call back to the man, I'm not doing. That's stupid. Not exactly the time for conversations. If we help him, it could be a possibility that he's not a person, because the rats have already gotten to the door, so he's already in the room with the rats. So he should be like a voice changing thing or something. I don't... Ignore him and lock the door is also the option. Fuck, let's help him. Okay, yeah, that was the bad option. We have to help him, you say as you run to the door. Rooster, wait. You open the door. The first thing you see are red eyes of a rat near the door staring at you. The rat lets out a shriek. The shriek is certainly not one of fear because it rams its snout into the crack of the door. Wham! The door bursts open and you're flung backwards. Standing in the door is a man, only it's not a man exactly. It has the head of a rat and its arms are covered in thick matted fur. A swarm of rats rush by him, rushing towards you like a horrid river of fur, tails and teeth. Children, leave a mouthful for me, the rat man says, laughter in his voice. Alas, you finally succumb to your wounds and collapse. Fucking hell. See, I wouldn't, personally speaking, I would never open the fucking door. And I gave you the, fucking idea because the door... How would the rats get to the door before killing him? He should be at the door, but he's not at the door. Rats at the door because they were shrieking and scratching, so that makes sense. But the only reason why I opened the door is because I thought that Kriya and Gukog would be angry at me for not opening the door. So let's go back to the last choice, shall we? Ignore and lock the door. You shut the door to the latrine. What are you doing? Are you going to just leave the man to be eaten? Yes. What are the chances of saving him from a swarm without getting ourselves killed? You say as you grab the edge of the stone slab and pull. Gugok, help me with this. Kriya frowns but says nothing. With the others' help, you soon barricade the door. See? See, she got pissy with me. Even though we will die if we did this. Maybe a third option was better, to call for the man, probably, but we'll see, whatever, when we do the best choices option, we'll see. As you're putting the last stone on the barricade pile, you hear hoarse voices and yips flittering in through the open double doors across the chamber. Rats on one side, goblins on the other. Kriya rubs her eye with one hand nervously. Let's just be quiet for a moment and listen, you say. The seconds tick by, the sounds of the rats continue on one side, the goblins' voices continue on the other. What are the goblins shouting about, I wonder? You whisper. That is probably the normal conversation, Kriya whispers back. They're a dramatic and savage race. All is silent for a moment, then you hear a man's voice shouting in the common tongue. You are going to die in there. Was that? You let the sentence trail off. It sounded like it came from the door behind you. Yes, that was him, says Kriya. A rat victim does not sound distressed any longer. No, that sounded like a taunt, you say incredulously. He's out there with the rats. I know the sound of rats now. There's no mistaking them. He's out there with the rats and he's mocking us. Priya bites her lip for a moment. This is all very unexpected. Whoever that is, I do not want to meet him. We can't go back no matter what, you say. Staring at the stone barricade the three of you built. Gods, there is no time for this. I need to buy a dress before the store closes or I'm doomed. Oh right. Oh yes, he need to get out and buy the dress. Are you losing your wit? Kriya hisses. Enough dress nonsense. I would offer you one of mine, but it won't fit you. It won't fit you. She kicks you on the side of your leg. The blow does not hurt much. Nevertheless, you step back out of the range. It had not occurred to you to ask Kriya for a dress. You look her over. Kriya is too short, you estimate, but you don't know much about vampires, but you imagine they're quite peculiar. I don't think that's a good idea because she's going to be like, she will probably smell Kriya in those clothes, so she's not going to be very happy. If you're done, imagine they're quite particular. If you're quite done ogling me like a miscreant, perhaps you should move on. Kriya says, a free hand balled into a fist. Yes, let's get some more buffer between us and the rats, you say. The hall beyond the double door is in rough shape, half collapsed in places where wooden beams have rotten through. The debris is everywhere, nothing moves. The animated, harsh words shouting from the goblin is much louder now. They must be close. I would not hazard to approach them. Hazard. That's an interesting way to put this. I would not hazard to approach them with our light, you whisper. Send your rat ahead of us. It can speak to you. You point at the bulge in Kriya's cloak. Oh, she has a bulge in her cloak, huh? Oh, I didn't know this was a food of fucking Dojin. Well, whatever. No, she says, sweeping her cloak away. He's asleep. Asleep? Through all this, you whisper fiercely. Does the vermin have no sense of self-preservation? Do not call him vermin, says Kriya. You will call him brother until he has his naming ceremony. Do you jest, you say. I will not call him brother, so that you can have your private laugh every time I refer to him as a relative. Kriya smiles. Have you gone mad? You say. Now that death is nearly upon us, you find your sense of humor. You're wasting time. Very well, call him courage. She says, keeping your voice low. I will not. There is no courage in hiding in the pocket of a woman, you whisper. She smiles again. Now enraged, you lunge at her pocket. She swings her torch at your hand as she steps away. You dodge, feeling the heat as it narrowly passes by your skin. No fighting, says Gukog. He turns to squarely face you. See? Whispers Kriya. The man with no shirt and a bag of heads and ears tied to his belt is more of a gentleman than you. You grit your teeth as you take a deep breath. The goblins, you remind yourself, death is near, calm yourself. Kriya pulls down her smile. Until the naming ceremony, my familiar cannot be used in the capacity you suggest. Very well, you say, taking another deep breath as you carefully shut the double door, sealing off the gathering chamber. I say we ambush the goblins. I was about to say gablins. Goblins in this hall. We wait in the dark. When they come looking for those two other fools, oh blast it. It would take too long to light a torch. We would lose the element of surprise. With only a word I can cast a light spell. So why is there a need for a light spell? We wait in the dark. The Oblast would take too long to light a torch. Why are we lighting a torch? We wait in the dark, and when they come looking for those other fools, we Oblast it. It would take too long to light a torch. Why do we need to light a torch if you're going for element of... Is it that dark in there? Only with a word I can cast a light spell, says Kriya. Wanting to make peace again, you wink at Kriya. Handy, good thing I brought you along. Nearly every wizard knows this trivial spell. It offers little more light than a torch, says Kriya. Good enough. It will still give us the advantage we seek, you say. In the hall there is a fallen timber with a pile of rubble. As tall as a man, only a few meters from the door. The three of you hide behind the barrier, then extinguish your lantern and the torches, plunging you into pure blackness. Yeah, it must be really dark in there. Dark, says Gukog, anxiety in his voice. Yes, says Kriya. Be sure to whisper though. Dark, repeats Gukog, this time in a whisper. The dark is bad, evil. I don't like the word. Kriya, hold his hand, you say. Foolishness, whispers Kriya. He's a grown man and you can feel Gukog groping around desperately in the dark. He grabs your leg, then Pain darts into you as he grabs the side of his stomach where you were bitten by a rat. Nibble's tongue, you curse as you seize his hand. He quickly latches onto your fingers, squeezes tightly. The hair, let go of my hair, hisses Kriya. There's a sound of skin getting slapped and a grunt from Gukog. Oh, she slapped him, okay. Eventually you get settled down. Gukog gets a little painful grip on your hand, and he and Kriya have apparently worked something out on their side. You wait in the darkness, listening over Gukog's heavy breathing. Faintly you hear some voices along with occasional shouting that sounds a little like a pair of cats fighting. Gradually the voices get louder, and then there are footsteps. They are close now. The footsteps are definitely in the hall with you. You're not sure how many of them, at least 3. If they remember your hiding place, they won't be able to see you until they're past the pile of debris. Only then, if you look back into your corner, the problem is, how will you know exactly when if they see you? You don't speak goblin. In fact, you're not absolutely positive these even are goblins. They might be orcs or something worse. I think I'm gonna wait because it doesn't matter what species you are and what language you speak, it's obviously going to sound exactly like how you think it sounds when someone is alarmed and is shouting for help for his friends. So I'm gonna guess the goblin sound, even if they make some weird sound for it, but it would be understandable. So let's wait. You may not know the goblin language, but you expect you'll know even in the pitch dark if they see you. There will be shouts of surprise, snarls or something. The footsteps continue to get louder, but the voices are quieted down. There's a hissing voice nearby, a word or phrase like malicious, malicious, what the fuck is that? Malicious. The tone does not sound excited though. You hold your breath, you hear the door open. There they are. The Kriya must have realized it too, because suddenly her hand flares up with white light. Your eyes hurt, but you make out 4 blurry small figures in a line near the door. Their eyes are huge, staring unseeing in your direction. Goblins. Kill them all, shouts Kriya, her dagger clutch in her hand. Gukog shouts as he grabs his long sword. Charge. I don't think it's a good idea to shout, to be honest with you, but okay. Shout and charges. You attack with your short sword. They all have weapons, spears, clubs with one bow. One thrust his spear blindly. You bat the spear to the side. With your sword, hack him down. Gukog splits another skull, mostly cuts off the arm of another in his next stroke. The goblins scream in terror as you finish them off. Well, it doesn't really matter if they're screaming. When they're finally motionless on the floor, Kriya steps out into the middle of the hall. There's a lit hand. You look around, don't see any more goblins. That was well. Taking out your flint and steel, you take the time to relight your lantern, torches. Meanwhile, Kriya and Gukog cut the left ear of each of the goblins. After that, Kriya extinguishes her magical light. The light spell is not very taxing, but every little bit counts. It is best that I conserve my power. Yeah, the magic thing is very weird in this world, I must say. They take a long time to regenerate their magic. Like, I don't think they even have like magic crystals, like, you know, the crystals, mana crystals that you can break and get your power back. Yeah, I don't know if their world even has that. On top of that, there's no arrays as you would see in cultivation manuas. An array would function in a manner, if you set up a small array, it will drag all the energy or like power, whatever mana or ki from the surrounding into one particular area where you can sit and then cultivate. That is not going to happen in this world, considering they're very low leveled and very high leveled at the same time. There's like, as I said, it's really weird. Like, A low level mage would be around the power of Kriya. A mid level mage would be around the power of the God Slayer or the Wizard Weaver last time, and a high level mage would be around the power of that chick, the multi-eyed chick that has like a floating tower or whatever.